Coming up next, Rene's Chasing the Dream series with Austin Theriault begins. We are here.
Yes, we are. We're back.
We wanted that Chasing the Dream to sit for people with
just for people to really know that this is going to be a fun series all week long on Austin Theriault. Tell you, it was great to sit down with him and his family and other people who have known him over the years. And the next five nights, I think, will be pretty interesting for people to get to know the commitment that he has and the sacrifices they've made. 19-year-old Austin Theriault of Fort Kent has been behind the wheel of race cars since he was 14 years old. Theriault grew up around motorsports. He's now working full-time in North Carolina, driving race cars in several series all over the country as he looks to make it to the major leagues of racing. Over the next 5 nights, we'll take a look at the sacrifices Theriault has made as he chases his dream.
Working on race cars and driving them is second nature to Austin Theriault. He developed his love for motorsports at a very young age.
Going to the truck pulls when I was young and hanging out with my father, and we spent a lot of time together, and it was mostly a family thing. Family would get together and we'd just enjoy the time together.
Theriault was bitten by the racing bug the first time he strapped into a car at the age of 14.
I knew from the first time that I sat in a race car that I wanted to do this for a living.
Austin's mother, Terry, said she remembers the thrill of watching Austin race at Spud Speedway.
But it was really exciting, and it brings us fast forward to these many years later, and he's doing what he loves to do, and he's going to continue to pursue it.
In every conversation with the Theriaults, the words family and friends are at the forefront. There's been a lot of support for the teenager.
It is. My family's been there from the start, and I really appreciate it. Couldn't do it without them. Not only do they help me financially, but you know, they're there to support me when we have good races and when we have bad races, and that's really important.
The volunteers that we've had, the sacrifices they've made away from their family on weekends, it's truly helped us a lot. And friends in general we've made throughout the racing community. In general, everybody's really good. We've had a lot of support.
Steve Pelletier of Pelletier Ford is one of Austin's major sponsors. He was a neighbor of the Theriaults when Austin was growing up, and he said there was always the need for speed.
I think, you know, Austin's had it in him since, you know, a young kid. You know, racing his little mini snowmobiles. You know, he's had to go a little faster than the others and be a little louder.
Theriault won his first major race as a 15-year-old, the Spud 150. Veteran race car driver Kirk Tebow watched Theriault run at Spud and offered some advice early.
I told him it was time that he moved up to a late model. I thought he was ready for it, and his father agreed, so he put him in a late model, and I went up, and I was actually helping him a little bit the day that he won his first race at Spud. Glad to see his success, glad to see him doing well, and look forward to more.
On Tuesday night, we'll continue the series on Theriault as he moves from competing at Spud Speedway to competing throughout New England.
When we come back, Rene continues with part 2 of his week-long series on Austin Theriault. We'll be right back. Welcome back. We continue our special series called Chasing the Dream, profiling Austin Theriault.
Yeah, you know, it's great. I've had a great response to it. A lot of people, you know, have talked about Austin and following his career. So this is just a little behind the scenes and what other people are saying about him. And 19-year-old Austin Theriault of Fort Kent continues to impress race observers with his skill and work ethic. Theriault has been behind the wheel of stock cars for 5 years and continues to chase his dream of making it to racing's highest level.
This is Austin Theriault on one of his first races at Spud Speedway. He was just 14 years old when he first strapped into a car.
Going to the track, not knowing what to expect, not knowing anybody at the track, not really knowing much about race cars in general. You know, we went there to have fun, and it grew from there. I think I won my first race, you know, a couple months after that at the start of the next season in a Dodge Neon. So we've definitely come a long way since then, but definitely awesome memories.
It didn't take long for people outside the county to realize Theriault's potential. He's been racing on some of New England's major circuits, including the past North Series and ACT Series for the last 3 years.
I never met anybody I didn't like from Fort Kent, so I come over and struck up a conversation with him, and I watched him race that night, and I was just totally impressed. I couldn't believe he was 18. He raced like he'd been racing for 30 years, you know.
Mickey Green has been Theriault's crew chief in the family-owned Pelletier Ford Fusion.
Yeah, I started with Austin his first year running the ACT Tour, and it was my first year as a crew chief. And we've definitely, had some learning curves together, but over the last year, he's turned into quite a racer and a young man.
Theriault and his spotter Kevin Alden have been working together on both major New England circuits. Alden said he's been impressed with the 19-year-old's maturity.
It didn't take long to realize he had talent. The first race here, he didn't have a car that was capable of doing it, but he drove it. I believe he got a 16th place finish, his first ever in a pass car, and from that time on, I mean, he went to Oxford the next week, his first act race, and he led laps. So I mean, yeah, it was pretty evident early on. He was a good driver.
Theriault is also racing in several other series around the country, and Gary Crooks is his crew chief with Brad Keselowski Racing.
Talented beyond his experience. For as little racing as he's done, he races like he's been doing it for 15, 20 years. He's an exceptional young man, and it's been a pleasure getting to work with him and getting to further our racing program together.
Wednesday night, we'll continue the series, taking a look at the local support that Theriault has received over the years.
Welcome back. We continue a week-long series which has gotten sort of a lot of attention. People really appreciate this series, and I like it for one.
Yeah, you know, it really gives you a little behind-the-scenes look. I mean, we've talked a lot about Austin Theriault over the last 5 years or so. Now we get a little more personal look at him and some of his crew chiefs and spotters. And tonight we take a look at some of the sponsors and how important they are. It's a long way from weekend racing at Spud Speedway to strapping into a Sprint Cup car. Austin Theriault of Fort Kent is chasing the dream of making it to the highest level in racing. In part 3 of the series, we take a look at the support he's received over the last 5 years.
Racing can be a very expensive sport, and sponsorship is very important. Austin Theriault Racing has some very dedicated businesses who are showing their support on the New England circuit. Pelletier Ford, Daigle Oil Company, Varney Insurance Agency, and Hogan Tire are his major sponsors this year.
You know, some of them have come and some of them have gone, but knowing that I still have great people behind me, people that want to grow with me, because racing's all about growth and trying to move to the next level. It's a lot about finding people that want to help you out, and in turn, you can help them.
Pelletier Ford has been on the hood of the car for the past couple of years. Steve Pelletier is the owner of the dealership.
I think there's 2 reasons. I've known Austin personally since he was a toddler. Know his parents, very good people. You know, and I want to support him. He's got a lot of talent. And, you know, and I guess I also want to promote the business, and, you know, through him, he's doing a great job doing it.
Daigle Oil Company has been with Austin Theriault Racing for several years. Scott Haley says that sponsoring Austin is a show of support for the racer and his family.
It's more of a support to Austin and his family and his team. The Theriaults and Daigle Oil Company go back probably 40 years or more, and it's been a great business relationship.
Pelletier recently purchased another dealership, Valley Auto in Fort Kent, and has changed the name to Valley Motors, and he said that business will also support the teenager.
Imagine what the costs are, you know, trying to run a race car like he's doing, and you know, I feel I have an obligation to help. You know, he's got a lot of talent. I think he's going places, and you know, we'll do what we have to do to support it.
Haley attended a race last year and was very impressed with the professionalism of the team.
This is a high-class, professional, everybody's very focused. The day of the race, you know, they have fun, they work well together, but the goal is to improve, the goal is to win.
The cost of moving to the next level would mean additional sponsorship from other parts of the country. We'll have more on that on Thursday night.
Welcome back. I've certainly enjoyed this series. I'm going to miss that little chasing the dream thing.
Yeah, just that little slide coming in just before we go in, you know, little sound effect to the whole works. So tonight's part 4 of the series with Austin Theriault, and the road to NASCAR goes through North Carolina. Because of that, Theriault has moved to North Carolina as he continues to chase the dream of racing at sport's highest level. 19-year-old Austin Theriault has a very tough schedule to keep track of. Theriault is racing in several different series all over the country. His father, Steve, said his son is very focused.
You know, as a parent, you look back at your own childhood, and every move that your kids make, you try to relate yourself at what you were doing at that age. Well, I can assure you that at that age, I certainly wasn't dedicated to anything or any job as much as I feel Austin's dedicated his life towards this journey of becoming a successful race car driver.
As Austin said earlier this week, family and friends are very important, from cheering him on to making food to make sure that the pit crew stays nourished to working social media to keep his fans up to date on success.
The fan base is amazing. The social media has been, that totally has just been something that we just would have never imagined. And I just think it's so nice to see people from all over supporting Austin.
Past North, past South, Southern Series, the CRA Series, and several other events traveling all over the country.
We're racing a whole bunch of different series, which is awesome because you get to see a whole bunch of different race cars, a whole bunch of different drivers, and you know, you get to experience the country.
The teenager said one of his biggest adjustments, the difference in qualifying for various series in New England, it's head-to-head, and in Southern Series, it's based on time.
Well, I mean, racing up north and having to qualify in heat races and consolation races, and then going down south and having to qualify on time, it was definitely a change for me. Down south, it's all about putting up 2 quick laps and you know, putting your times head-to-head against everybody else. And up here, it's a little bit more about patience and making the right moves and qualifying.
Gary Crooks is Theriault's crew chief with Brad Keselowski Racing. He said he's been impressed with the teenager's savvy behind the wheel.
And I mean, we weren't easy on him. We threw him to the wolves. We took him to racetracks and raced against the best in the country. And you know, we've had our struggles, but he stepped up, and we never missed any races, and we ran up front in most of the ones we've gone to. So going back this year to those races for a second time, I expect to be racing for wins.
Friday night, we'll take a look at the aspect that it takes a lot more than just talent to make the move up the ladder.
Welcome back. Time for sports. 2 great stories, not a lot of time. Take it away.
Yeah, we've got, we'll start with the series that we have, and then we'll go into another great story that you were involved with today. Austin Theriault is just 19 years old, has been behind the wheel of a race car for 5 years. During that time, he's moved from racing at Spud Speedway to winning races throughout New England. Now he's taken it to the next level, competing for the driver development program for Brad Keselowski Racing. The 5th and final part of a series on Theriault chasing his dream of making it to the highest level in the sport.
Austin Theriault isn't afraid to get his hands dirty. He works in a race shop in North Carolina during the week and travels all over the country competing on weekends. He's taking baby steps as he looks to move up the ranks.
It's pretty much 1 step at a time. If you go too fast, you know, there's more of a chance that you end up falling and never making it. So I'm trying to take it slow. Like I said, meeting the right people, trying to find the right people to support me and grow with me.
The reality of the situation, it takes big money to compete in any of the 3 highest levels of NASCAR. Theriault said he knows he's not alone in chasing the dream.
Hundreds of drivers that want to be where I'm at right now and want to pursue a career in racing.
It's not just raw talent. A lot of times it's who you know or who wants to open a checkbook and sponsor your move to the next level.
But unfortunately, it takes money to recognize talent, so that's where we're struggling at this point. Hopefully somebody will find or see or take an interest in Austin and help him get to that next level.
People who know him well in the racing community know it's a long shot, but they're glad he's pursuing his dream.
Ryan, he's doing what he can. I mean, it's a long shot. No matter how much talent you have, it's a long shot to get a good ride down south there. But he's doing what he can.
Had all the talent in the world to do it. Now it's unfortunately out of his hands. We're going to see where the racing gods take him, and hopefully he can find some backing.
The 19-year-old is living a dream right now, working in a race shop, racing in several circuits. He said he would love to make it to Sprint Cup, but is realistic too.
It would be an honor to represent Maine and represent the county if I were to do anything more. And it's definitely a dream, and chances are nothing will happen. But I'm still encouraged, and that's what I told my guys.
Who knows what the future brings? Theriault has shown he can drive a race car and now just needs to get a big break to follow in the footsteps of Ricky Craven, Andy Santerre, and Joe Bessie, Mainers who competed at the highest level.
One other note on Austin Theriault, he's working with Brad Keselowski in his Craftsman truck at Charlotte Motor Speedway this week, so that's some great experience.
Unbelievable experience and a great series. I think gave people a real good idea what he's going through. It
Opened
hasn't
the
made
eyes.
it yet, but boy, is he working hard.
He's working hard to
chase
try
that
to
dream.
make it.
Yep. Thanks, Rene. Appreciate it.